Yo, 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 what is up? What is up? How y'all doing? Sorry for the tardiness. We're actually, ranking should be out here in a couple minutes, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Of course, my name is Harish. I'm your boy from the Longhorn Fan Battle Network. Thank you for joining us. We're just gonna do a quick little show just to reveal the college football playoff rankings. Just come in here, have a good little chat with you guys here, and yeah, just watch the college football playoff rankings. So, um, t- again, I don't think there should be any movement this week. Maybe Florida State. Um, we'll see what happens there. Obviously, horrible news from the Jordan Travis front. You never want to see anything like that. Um, so hopefully there's you know they're well, not hopefully. Well, first off, prayers to Jordan Travis. Right, we hope him a speedy wish him a speedy recovery. Last week Georgia moved into the number one ranking. Yeah, I think that there's a couple things that kind of want to keep a look into here. Right, just number one, does Washington crack the top four? Right, very impressive ranking rating for them from the spot of winning, going into Corvallis, winning an ugly game, right? That was not a clean game whatsoever. Difficult game, very challenging game for them to win. So we'll see what happens there. And then, of course, what happens with Texas, right? Texas wins the game in Ames on Saturday night. Again, just taking care of business, right? You worry about the style points. You worry about, oh man, what happens? If they win by 30 versus if they win by 10, and yeah, it could make a difference, right? I mean, there's things there that Texas did leave some meat on the bone, especially in the first half. You think about the two big issues there with the two penalties, one on the holding call that came back from Kelvin Banks on the AD touchdown. Of course, the block in the back, right on the punt return, where Xavier Worthy had a touchdown. So you leave 14 points off the board. So the show's getting started here soon. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on where Texas stands. Follow us on Twitter. We are at 232 followers. So just 28 away from before we do our first giveaway. So of course, we'll think about what those giveaway standards might be. Probably something along the lines of follow us on Twitter, follow us on the YouTubes, and then we'll do a small giveaway coming up here. Probably heading into the Big 12 championship game. So probably for next week, we'll do a giveaway. So yeah, the show's about to start here. Reese Davis, I was um, Texas, Alabama, Florida State is now into that. We'll see what happens with Oregon. I think Oregon's very interesting as well. So um, we're getting started here. Well, one thing I'm very interested in is, sorry if you hear my dog in the background, Nova, just calm down. Um, Curious what happens with Oregon, right? Oregon gets, obviously they play Oregon State this week, huge rivalry game, which will go on the same time as Texas plays Texas Tech. Um, we'll see what they do with Oregon. Oregon wins another big one again this week, right? They take care of business as they've done essentially since losing to Washington earlier about 6 weeks ago. So they beat Arizona State 49-13. Of course, Washington wins 22-20 in Corvallis, and then Texas, of course, handles their business, and they beat Iowa State in Ames 26-16. So, Georgia goes into Tennessee. They knock off the Vols 38-10, I believe. Alabama, they had their little cupcake game, their late season cupcake game. And they take care of business. What's interesting, showing a picture now of, I didn't know these guys were out of Grapevine. So they're showing all the showing the committee right now here early on here. Um, one thing, one thing as we take a look at it. Sorry, I had the volume of the thing in my ear. One thing to kind of keep an eye on is as far as movement could go, right? And we kind of talked about it here a little bit ago. Does Florida State get moved out of the top five, right? And of course, the AP poll has them moved out of the top five, right? They moved from four to the top four, so they moved from 4 to 5 in the AP poll. And then outside of that, really no movement at all, right? You got a little movement outside of the top 10, but the top 8 pretty much stays even, right? Ohio State moves up to 2, Michigan moves down to 3. Obviously, we have the game this week. Washington moved up to 4, Florida State moved down to 5. And again, what does the committee think about Florida State? What do you guys think about Florida State? Florida State's a very interesting topic right now. So obviously, follow the video, like the video, comment below, give us your thoughts. Where do you think everything ends up? Honestly, I don't see a lot of movement in the top 8. If anything, maybe Florida State is that one team that might move up or down. Again, the committee says they don't take injuries into account. At the end of the day, that Florida State team is a team that's vulnerable right now, right? If you're Texas, again, what happened to Jordan Travis is horrible but from a game perspective, right? This is very interesting for Texas, and I think if Texas puts Texas in a good spot as far as trying to make their way into the top 4. Florida plays Florida State this week. I believe they go to the Swamp, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, they go to Florida State. That'll be the 6 p.m. game this Saturday. Of course, Texas will have played by then. The one other thing that I want to take a look at real quick before the rankings are revealed, and they should be revealed here in a second as I'm watching the live stream here. So let's talk about the Big 12 Conference Championship game, right? I mean, for Texas, it's very easy, right? For Texas, you win and you're in, right? And they just showed 21 to 25. Looks like Liberty moved up into 25. Clemson 24, Tulane 23. They moved up a spot. NC State 22. Tennessee moves down to 21 after getting basically butt raced by Georgia. But real quick, for Texas, it's very easy, right? Get into the top and win and you're in, right? It's they can control everything in the Big 12. What becomes very interesting, I don't want to talk about the scenarios if Texas loses because I think that's just not important, right? I think Texas is going to win this weekend. I don't see any scenario where Tech upsets Texas. Just me personally, I don't see it. I think it's going to be a blowout. But one thing that is interesting, how everything else works. If Oklahoma State wins, Oklahoma State is in, right? Now, if Oklahoma State were to lose and Oklahoma wins, then Texas would play Oklahoma. If Oklahoma State and Oklahoma lose and Kansas State wins, then you'll get a rematch in Arlington with Kansas State and Texas. And those are basically the scenarios that matter if Texas wins. If Texas loses, then it becomes a whole bunch of math. People restart things, and I don't care about all that. But 16 through 20, looks like Oklahoma State 20, Kansas State 19, Notre Dame 18, Iowa down to 17. Oregon State drops all the way down to 16 after losing on Saturday there. So that's kind of how the top 15, the top 16, I guess the bottom 15, right? Kind of, or the bottom half of the top 25 shake out so far. So it's it's very easy for Texas, right? At the end of the day, win and you're in. Win and you're in, and that's all you have to worry about. Nothing else matters at that point. So winning you're in, that's all that matters for Texas. That's all they need to worry about is winning and they're in. And you know what? Actually, let me take that back. Win and let everything else take care of itself. I don't think there's too much that they have to worry about as far as the college football playoff rankings. Those things will just kind of take care of themselves. So There we go. 11 to 15. Penn State 11. Ole Miss 12. Oklahoma 13. LSU 14. Now I just don't understand LSU. It's ridiculous to me that LSU is even in the top 15. Arizona State 15. They moved up to. I don't. Aren't there some two-loss teams that are below LSU? Um, that's not really making any sense to me. So, but I guess you take a look at all the right. Um, Also, Tennessee loses 38 to 10, and they don't they've dropped below Oregon State. Um, I just don't understand why. I don't know what the committee is kind of thinking. And again, to me personally, that bottom half of the until we lose one more, that bottom half of the bracket, I don't really care. I'm very focused in and eyeballing into the top 10 or top 8. Right. That's where all of my intention is done right now. And I'm not really worried about these other rankings. So again, Penn State 11, Ole Miss 12, Oklahoma 13, LSU 14, Arizona 15. That's kind of where we shake out there. Um, let's take as that they continue to roll in the top 10. Of course, we'll probably see Texas there in the top 10. And those of you guys that have joined us, thanks for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate you guys' support. Follow us on Twitter. As I've said, we're about 23 or so, 25 or so followers away from doing our first giveaway. We'll announce what that giveaway is next week. And we'll probably do something likely next week's stream, which is the Thursday before the Big 12 Championship. Hopefully Texas is in that. We'll have an opportunity to see Texas in that, and that's kind of the goal there. So like, comment, subscribe. If you like the show, obviously like us on Facebook or Twitter, like us on YouTube, and we'll put out instructions on how to join the list there. So they're revealing the top 10. Louisville comes in at 10, Missouri 9, so no changes there. I expect Texas here at 8, 7. I think Texas, I don't see Texas moving down, but I think does Alabama finally jump Texas? That's what really is interesting here. And they're about to reveal number 8, which is where all the fun is. So let's see what happens there. Nope. Look, Alabama's still hanging there tough. Texas is still hanging there tough at 8, holding off Alabama. So I think they're just interested to see what Texas does or Alabama does in the SEC championship game. Texas has been able to box out Alabama. It shows to the committee that this win against Alabama in Tuscaloosa, something else nobody's done, holds some weight, right? It holds weight. It has to hold weight because then why would things like this happen? Texas remains at 7. Why wouldn't it matter that Texas, that Alabama is staying behind Texas, regardless of everything that's happening, right? So this has to hold some kind of weight. So Texas does remain at 7. And again, I don't think anything else changes. I'd be very interested to see what happens. So Texas remains at 7. So, sorry, I just had to post that tweet there. So yeah, Texas remains at 7. What are we thinking? How are we feeling? Oregon remains at 6. Again, I don't think a lot of the top 8 is going to change. I think it'll change after this week, right? We'll see what happens after the game. We'll see what happens with Oregon State, Oregon. That's going to be important. We'll see. Just Texas, can they get their style points? Alabama plays Auburn. I don't think there's going to be any issues there in the Iron Bowl. Auburn's just not very good. They just lost to New Mexico State 38-10, if I'm not mistaken, 31-10. And of course, they're going to take a break to go to the top 10, or the top 4, top 5. Let's see here. So Auburn plays Alabama this weekend. in the Iron Bowl. Auburn's just bad, right? Auburn is horrible. They lose last week. Of course, we know they lose to New Mexico State, 31-10. What I don't really know. I don't expect. I think Alabama's going to boat race Auburn too, but you never know with these rivalry games. You just don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, Texas is a victim of that, right? They go into Dallas, go into Red River, and just get steamrolled. So, well, they didn't get steamrolled. I apologize. They play a poor game, and their poor game allowed Oklahoma, who then has gone on to lose 2 games since, come in and still won against Texas. You really feel like Texas uh, lost that game just because they played poorly, and Oklahoma's been able to take advantage of that, right? So uh, Texas has been able to hold off Alabama here at 8. That's been the big conversation. We'll see what continues to happen. Again, Texas just needs to keep winning football games, right? I still don't think Texas played well last week, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Texas played a complete game. I'm not going to sit here and say that Texas, just completely outplayed. I mean, they outplayed Iowa State. They still left some meat on the bone, and those 2 penalties on touchdowns don't help them, right? Those 14 points are valuable 14 points. Obviously, they go in, they get the field goals that they need. Bert Auburn was great last week. I think he's 4-4 on field goals. I heard some stat earlier today where he's like maybe 14 of 15, and then I think 5 for 5 from over 45 yards or above. So Bert Auburn's been really good. Again, it's all about points at this point, and Texas just isn't getting those points. But here we go with the top 5. It looks like it's about to be revealed. Let's see what they're doing. Again, Florida State's interesting. Georgia's number 1. I've always felt like they've gone backwards, but they're going forward. So Georgia's number 1. And no surprises there, right? Georgia is the best team in the country as of right now. They're beating teams as they should be, right? They had that impressive victory over Tennessee, 38-10 in Neyland Stadium, by the way, in Knoxville. They're just taking care of business, and they're beating teams that are good. No, it's not. Is Tennessee overrated? That's a different question. But that's neither here nor there. Ohio State remains at 2, and Ohio State Michigan is such a big game this week. The game has so many implications. It's going to be very interesting to see how this game plays out. If I'm Texas, I want Ohio State to win this game, and I'll tell you why. If Ohio State were to lose, right, Michigan goes up. I don't think Ohio State goes out of the top 4. Michigan comes in at 3 again. But if Ohio State beats Michigan, Michigan's resume is not good enough to keep them in the top 4, probably even the top 5. There is a scenario where if Ohio State beats Michigan, Michigan's probably bumped all the way down to 8, maybe 9, right? There's also the whole sign stealing thing, so the committee has reasons to not like them right now. Michigan has to win this game. I think their season they're basically out of everything, right? No Big Ten championship game, no playoff, right? 11-1, probably go to New Year's Six Bowl, and the whole sign stealing thing. So it's almost like karma at that point. If I'm a Texas fan, here's who you're rooting for this week. You're rooting for Ohio State, rooting for Florida, rooting for Oregon State. Those are your 3 teams that you really need to do well this week. And again. And, of course, you have to win yourself. Winning yourself is paramount in all this. But we'll see what happens there. Very, very important for Ohio. That the game is actually a really big thing for Ohio State, Michigan, and the entire playoff scenario. So, I've been trying to get screenshots of this the last few weeks, and it just has not been working for me. Let me see what I can get in here. Nope. And Washington comes in at 4. Whoa! Wow. Okay. So breaking news. Washington. Hey, there you go. Washington finally jumps. This is very interesting. Washington jumps Florida State and joins the top 4. Cool. So there's your top five, right? Relatively no movement in the top four. Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, Washington, now coming in at four. Florida State at five, right? And then stays the same. Oregon six, Texas seven, Alabama eight. This really gives a direct line to the college football playoff if Oregon takes care of business this weekend. Gives a direct line to the college football playoff to be Pac-12 champion. Um, that unless Oregon State pulls an upset this weekend over Oregon, the Pac-12 champion's going to go, right? Well, because if Oregon were to lose, they're obviously out this weekend. So that takes care of them altogether. And then all Washington has to do is win. And then if Oregon beats Washington next week, is Washington out? I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It becomes interesting. Anyway, guys, of course, we're gonna head out of here. Short show. Just want to reveal the top five again. For those of you that don't know, Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, Washington jumps into the top 4, and then that puts Florida State down at 5. Oregon 6, Texas hangs strong at 7, and then Alabama 8. That is it for us. Remember to join us again Thursday nights, 8:30 p.m. This week, we'll probably do a Wednesday show. I need to get with Tim and see what he wants to do. You guys have a great Thanksgiving, and we will see you guys later. Peace.